Hey, you. If you've been alive ever, you've probably heard of creepypastas. Creepypastas are these old school internet horror stories. Basically, friends would share around creepy images or stories to each other to like freak them out, you know? Hence the name creepypasta. It was like a play on the word copy paste, because this is from the same era as the "remember this kid feel old yet" meme and the fucking Doge "such funny much wow." So you know it had to be pretty epic awesome. I felt physical pain saying that, I'm sorry. I remember growing up, these were huge. These were absolutely everywhere, right? Everybody and their mother was scared of Slender Man or Jeff the Killer or Smile Dog or that stupid Squidward suicide one. I don't understand why that one was popular, but whatever. I was never super into creepypastas myself, but being on the internet from like 2009 to 2015, you really couldn't avoid them. Everywhere you looked, it was, oh my god, it's Slender Man. I think he's right behind me. Now, to be fair, I do remember being scared of them growing up. Like, I remember watching Markiplier play the Slender Man game and being terrified of it growing up, or my brother would tell me about Ben Drowned and I wouldn't be able to sleep for a week. But as I got older, I started to notice that these stories kind of just suck. They're actually pretty terrible. Most of the time, they end up being so poorly written that they're way funnier to read than they are scary. Unfortunately, I do have to admit that the reason I thought of doing this video was because somebody over on my stream, you should watch it, sent me this terrible creepypasta song, and while it is absolutely atrocious, it made me think about creepypastas again, so you can thank this song for this video. To start off, this wouldn't be a creepypasta video without bringing up Jeff the Killer. I don't want to spend too long on Jeff the Killer, but he really is the cornerstone of the creepypasta world. Like, none of this would be here without Slender Man and Jeff the Killer, you know what I mean? And also, his story was so bad that it got taken off of the website, and they held a competition to rewrite it because it was just so atrocious to read, and I think that's hilarious. Now, for those of you who don't know, Jeff is this guy. This pretty shittily edited photo of me going to the bathroom late at night. We start off with an excerpt from the local newspaper that reads, "Ominous unknown killer still at large." It then reads, "After weeks of unexplained murders, the ominous unknown killer is still on the rise. After little evidence has been found, a young boy states that he survived one of the killer's attacks and bravely tells his story." So we don't know who this ominous unknown killer is, but he sounds pretty freaking ominous and unknown to me. So I don't know, but I guess he can't beat a little boy. I don't know how this guy lost to a little boy, but okay. The boy starts off with, "I saw that for some reason the window was open, even though I remember it being closed before I went to bed. I got up and shut it once more. Afterwards, I simply crawled under my covers and tried to go back to sleep." Okay, first off, pretty brave kid, right? I probably would have screamed because I'm presuming he's pretty young, right? But also, what time period is this kid from? Did Jeff go back to try to kill a small Victorian child? Like, what child uses, "I got up and shut it once more," or "I simply crawled under my covers and tried to get back to sleep"? Who is this, young Charles Dickens? Like, what is this? He continues with, "I had a strange feeling, like somebody was watching me. I looked up and nearly jumped out of my bed. There, in the little ray of light from between my curtains, were a pair of two eyes." This child has such strange verbiage. Like, if I was a young child being interviewed on how I was almost murdered, I would have said something like, "I woke up and there was this dude in my room and he tried to stab me. It was crazy." I wouldn't be sitting there talking to the reporter like, "Betwixt the moonlit curtains lay a figure, dark, eerie. Two eyes fell upon me like a wolf's upon a lamb." Why is he talking like this? The kid goes on to describe the infamous Jeff the Killer image, then says, "Finally, after what seemed like forever, he said it. A simple phrase, but said in a way only a madman could speak. He said, 'Go to sleep.' I let out a scream." They get into a scuffle. Apparently the kid somehow knew he was aiming at his heart. He's like, "The guy stabbed me trying to go for my heart," which I don't know how you know that, but the kid fought back, stating he punched, kicked, etc., and then his dad came in. And I mean, props to this young kid for fighting off the freaking Jeff the Killer. Like, he beat Slender Man in that rap battle. This takes strength. Dad gets stabbed in the shoulder before the police arrive, and once they get there, Jeff flees the scene and the police still haven't found him. Also, this is just the intro. This is just a random excerpt that we get before the real story. And like, I get that it sets up the story, but like, I feel like it kind of just spoils how it ends. You know what I mean? Like, we know whoever's named Jeff in here becomes a killer, because it's like in the title. You know what? No, I feel like you guys understand that. I'm just going to keep reading the story. The actual story revolves around Jeff, who, if you couldn't guess, is the killer. What? But no, a basic summary is that Jeff and his brother Liu move into a fancy neighborhood. I don't know why they specify that, but it is fancy. They almost get mugged by some street kids on their way to school, but Jeff fights back and stabs the shit out of some of them. Then the morning after they almost got mugged, the cops show up to like figure out what's going on. Liu takes the fall and goes to jail for some reason. I still don't understand that part at all, but okay. The kids eventually come back to try to get their revenge on Jeff at a like 8-year-old's birthday party. With guns, by the way. They have guns. They're just shooting at Jeff in this crowd of like 8-year-olds. Where did they get these fucking guns? I don't know, but they cover him with bleach and alcohol and set him on fire, yet he somehow lives, right? Once he gets all the bandages off, it's revealed that his skin is bleached from the bleach, right? He's pure white like in the image. He finds himself oddly beautiful from this and just like really likes killing people now. He's like, you know what? I think I'm gonna do that more often. His mom comes into his bathroom one night and sees him carving a little smile into his face like he's the Joker because he never wants to frown again. And he cut off his eyelids so he'd never have to stop looking at his beautiful face, which wouldn't you go blind after like a week? I don't think that's how eyelids work, man. You do you, Jeff. I don't know. His mom pretty reasonably freaks out about this, but then pretty unreasonably goes up to Jeff's dad and goes, hey, we need to shoot him. I'm not even joking. First sentence she says is, we need to shoot him. So, bit harsh, but okay. Jeff comes in because he overheard it and kills his family with the iconic line, Mommy, you lied.
Mommy, you lied.
You lied!
And now he's on the loose and no one knows where he is. This story absolutely sucks. Most of it is just not cohesive at all. It's hard to condense into like a summary because it doesn't make any sense. Also, Jeff is like abnormally strong. When he fights the bullies the second time at that like 8-year-old's birthday party, you know, when they had guns, he punched one of them in the heart and stopped his heart. He punched him so hard that his heart stopped. Is that possible? Is that even a possibility? I feel like you just can't do that. I feel like that's not a thing you can do. Also, keep in mind, these kids are 13 years old. I thought they were like 16 to 17. No, they're 13. They're 13 years old. Can you imagine you're at your 8th grade son's birthday party and these two 13-year-old kids roll up with guns and just start airing the place out? That's crazy. And then one of them loses because he gets punched so hard his heart stops? That's what? It's so stupid. It's so stupid. I don't know. It's just never really made sense to me why this one is the most popular creepypasta. I mean, I know it's debated if it's the most popular, but you can't deny it's one of. You know what I mean? So like, I don't get it. I really don't know why. Also, like I mentioned earlier, after he beats the kids up in self-defense because they tried to rob him and pulled knives on him, the cops show up and they're like, hey man, those kids that you stabbed says you started it, so you're going to jail. And Jeff just goes, okay. Take me, officers. And like, dude, what are you doing? Like, stand up for yourself. Say something like, hey, they tried to rob us. You know what I mean? Like, get a trial or something. Get a lawyer.
Did you know
I don't
that you
know.
have rights?
Also, the cop's response when Jeff goes, okay, is just, well, kid, looks like a year in juvie for you. I don't think cops can do that. I'm like fairly certain there's a thing in the Constitution that prevents you from doing this. I don't know. But also, in the event that he was guilty, in the event that he attacked them both times and murdered all those people, you only want to give him a year? He stabbed 2 kids and punched some other kid so hard he threw up the first fight, and then he fucking heart stopped the other guy in the second fight. Like, get this kid in jail for life. This kid should not be roaming the streets. While Jeff is always a treat to read, an absolute treat, I know I can find some worse shit out there. I did some more digging around and I went straight to the source. I wanted to stay true to the creepypasta name, so I went to creepypasta.com and found some that just genuinely just melted my brain. I think a big issue with creepypasta writing and what really hurt it is overusing descriptors and just trying to be pretentious with your writing, and I think the best example I could find of that is the Doctor Killer. Now, fair warning, there's a lot of attempts at big words that don't really make any sense, so good luck following along. Everyone knows that flying is one of the statistically safest things one can do. That does not mean the inhabitants of the skies remain accident-free, however. Each aircraft has a reputation which gives one clues as to its safety and dependability. Some artificial birds cannot avoid unfavorable rapport in the relationships with their potential passengers and even their pilots. Did that Victorian child that Jeff tried to kill write this? What am I reading? doing, dude? I will never understand the like overly pretentious language in all of these stories. I don't think it's wrong to use more sophisticated verbiage from time to time at all. Like, I don't think there's any fault for you doing that. But when it reads like all you did was look up a synonym for every word you were trying to use and just threw those in there, it just flows horribly. It's absolutely awful to read. Like, artificial birds cannot avoid unfavorable rapport in their relationships with their potential passengers. Shut up! Like, you're not better than somebody else for reading that sentence and getting the same info as if it just said, like, some people are scared of planes. Because that's literally the exact same thing. It's just more annoying to read. Like, I don't get it. It's just less digestible for the reader, and I don't understand why you would do it. I hate it. I hate it so much. An inauspicious wind blew through the V-tail Bonanza in the olden days. Despite this aircraft's best efforts to shutter its own occupants down into the concoction of clay, silt, or sand, which would end their lives, this low-wing beach monoplane was a mere portent to the modern-day kamikaze of craft, which climbed the common air. Holy run-on sentence, good lord, man. Also, I can't really tell you what this is saying. I think this is the plane crashing. Your guess is kind of good as mine here. They might also just be describing the plane and like the takeoff and landing sequence. I don't know. There isn't an actual crash until later, so I don't really know what this means, but we're just gonna keep going, okay? Recently, a new plane, one with small control surfaces and consequently high landing speeds, has ended more lives in less time than the old shaky master ever could. Thus, the Cirrus bedimed the old Bonanza's reputation as a plane to be feared for its formidably defiant spirit. Okay, I looked it up because it was pissing me off. The Doctor Killer is just a moniker for a model of plane. It's just like a nickname for the Beechcraft Bonanza. That's why they use Bonanza multiple times in the story. This isn't even a creepypasta. This is just some dude who really likes planes talking about how much he likes this plane in the most annoying way possible. But yeah, basically the plane is called the Doctor Killer because there were a lot of high-profile crashes of doctors who were like the pilots of the plane. Just like a weird coincidence of a bunch of doctors crashing in this model. That's it. Cool. The old name stuck, though, a title earned by luring those inexperienced pilots in by flaunting its spacious leather interior in front of their fortunes. Such coaxed naivety, tempted ineptitude reared by sleek lines and a smiling salesman with a set of keys. The Doctor Killer. Crash! We finally get into an actual story now. Apparently a plane did indeed crash and made a very hard landing due to like low lift altitude. I don't know. The damage to the field and the wrecked trail all matched up with an inexperienced hurried descent. Although they never like to see someone die, the team of investigative agents from the FAA and the NTSB were so unastonished that they barely batted an eye. I love how this is just saying that the investigators of this plane crash just genuinely do not give a shit. I can't imagine going to a plane crash site and just being like, yep. Just another Tuesday for me. Let's go get some coffee, boys. Like, that's crazy. Anyways, they fawn over how sleek the interior of this plane is, and they find a black box, which is like a recording device that they put on planes for the pilots and stuff. They decide to listen to it to try to figure out what happened on the plane, and slowly start to realize that something's off. They all gathered around and pressed play on the analyzing software the bent recording device was hooked up to. Marvelous and clear, the voices of the dead around them were personified through the speaker. They heard the same radio call the tower had picked up a couple days earlier. The pilot knew he was going down and struggled to remember the setup procedures for a quick touchdown. Then they heard the pilot confirm successful gear deployment. Next, they heard him say under his breath to flare at seemingly the correct time in the sequence, waiting for the ripping and tearing of the plane. In only moments, the physician verbally confirmed the aircraft had come to a complete stop. A perfect landing. But didn't the plane just crash and we just read it crashing on the ground? Were they just investigating it crashed on the ground? That's probably what you're thinking right now, but let me tell you. Just wait for it. This time around, the Doctor Killer was innocent. Someone had done a perfect job of disintegrating the plane after it landed, making it look like, even to experts, that it had caught dirt at high speed. The investigators really hoped, at least for the rest of their lives, that it was indeed someone. Man, shut up, dude. So, the plane being the Doctor Killer literally had nothing to do with the story. This could have been a Boeing 737. This could have been literally any plane, and we would have had the same ending. At most, them talking about the Doctor Killer was like a red herring for the 3 people that knew what that meant. But I mean, I, for one, was expecting like a doctor, who's a killer, you know, like the name suggests, something that fits the fucking title. This story made me so mad. Also, the whole twist of it being a creepypasta, I feel like is genuinely just, he was writing about the plane and everything, right? And then he's like, oh, I'm on creepypasta.com. So he's like, oh shit, And then they couldn't explain how the plane crashed. Wait, that's it! I've got it! I try not to be mean with stuff like this, but this is actually awful. I hope you're watching this video, and I hope you feel shame, okay? I hope you feel Also, what does he mean plane disintegrated perfectly? Is it just not there anymore? Where'd the plane go? But all in all, this story is just a shining example of why creepypastas fell out of popularity and why they just never were really that scary. Most of the time, the writers spend so long focusing on meaningless descriptors that instead of the story scaring me, it feels like I'm sitting in an 8th grade literature class and I'm judging the person next to me's story, and I just kind of have to give it a passing grade because I'm kind of a dick if I don't, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, as I kept going through creepypasta.com, I realized most of the website is like this, so I tried looking around at other places, right? I tried going to r/nosleep and the SCP forums, which both could have their own entire videos, if I'm being honest. But I wanted to stay true to the creepypasta name of the video, so I started looking for more things in the creepypasta territory, and that's when I found a website called Trollpasta. Now, there are some crazy stories on here, like Evil Kermit, or this one about Seinfeld being in a secret cult that caused both 9/11 and Obama to become president, which I feel like don't really correlate, but okay, I won't say anything else. Or probably the most notable story from Trollpasta is Sally.exe. Yeah, that's where it came from. Wow. Unfortunately though, as funny and fun as these are to read, they're pretty much all intentionally bad or poorly written, and that I just feel like that doesn't fit the spirit of the video. We're looking for actually bad creepypastas, not somebody trying to write a bad one, you know what I mean? And who knows, maybe the ones I put in this video are, but as far as I can tell, these were all like actual stories. So while I think it is a pretty funny website overall, and there are definitely some gems on here, we're just gonna move on past it for now. I kept digging, trying to find worse and worse, and eventually I found some pretty terrible stories like Graffiti Joe, which I do have to admit I like part of it, right? It's about a dude who kills his rivals by turning them into graffiti on the wall, which I think is actually a really cool concept, but it's just poorly executed. And honestly, I'm just kind of sad about that, but there's a section in here where the protagonist says, "I pulled my iPhone out from my coat pocket to use as a flashlight since the lights in the alley didn't work for some weird reason. Then I was taken by complete surprise as the phone lit up a gruesome face. I immediately slapped my free hand over my mouth to silence the sudden gasp, but then I calmed down once I realized it wasn't real. It was just graffiti plastered onto the damp red brick wall." The way it reads is she's like shining her flashlight down the alleyway and then turned and saw the face, but because it's graffiti and how close they describe her, like I feel like she had to be kissing the wall, you know? Like she's walking with her flashlight on and then she turns and it's just like this. But I kept going, I kept looking for more, and I was trying to find just something better than like what I was finding, and then I found it. I found something amazing. This might change the world for It's Roblox creepypastas. Apparently there's a whole website dedicated to specifically Roblox creepypastas, and they are just as awful to read as you expected them to be. When you get on the site, there's like a button to press that just gives you a random story, and I'm not even joking. The first one it generated me was the doo-doo hackers. They are a group of hackers that supposedly find people's addresses and mail them poop to their doorsteps, and at first I was worried to put them on here because what if they find my address and then mail poop to my house? I don't want that. I don't want a poopy door. But the story says that they find people's addresses through social engineering, and I think I could confidently say if someone named Doodoo Hacker 17 walked up and asked for my address, I probably wouldn't give it to him. You can also find things like David Quee, which I hope I'm saying that name right, but it is, and I'm not even joking, just some dude. Just some guy. Like his friends just took a picture of him and uploaded him to the website and made him into a creepypasta. Can you guys do that to me? Can somebody, can you guys put me on the creepypasta website? I think that'd be funny. Now, while the Roblox creepypasta website is objectively hilarious, I think we're getting a little off topic here, so I want to get back to the genuine creepypastas, the ones that were put on creepypasta.com or are in that sphere of things, and I think I might have found the perfect final story. I'm sure most of the people who clicked on this video have heard of Sonic.exe. It's that stupid creepypasta about a haunted Sonic copy that somebody made an actual game about that every YouTuber and their mother played about 10 years ago, you know? It kind of started the whole like haunted video game trend in the creepypasta creepypasta world because unfortunately that was a thing. There's way too many of these. And while I was looking through some of these, my favorite one that I found is called Sally.exe, which is just another Sonic horror story about an evil exe file. I just really copying the homework, man. It starts off with a little bit about the narrator. I'm a big fan of the Sonic the Hedgehog series, like a lot of people. I narrowed down to the classic Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon shows though, because I think the rest Sega had spawned was rat crap. To each their own. Man, how do Sonic fans always just have such a way with words, you know what I mean? Also, you'll notice a theme in this story that this dude randomly just talks about his own opinions, completely unrelated to the story. He'll just start throwing shit out there, and it's very obvious when he does it, and I think it's really funny. I was browsing eBay the other day. I wondered if there would be any items about my favorite character from the series, Sally.exe. Indeed, what I found was a plushie that was manufactured in Sega World of Sydney, which closed down due to the lack of visitors in 2006. I just love when authors throw random tidbits in that mean absolutely nothing and break the flow of the story. Like, I do not care about Sega World Australia closing in 2006. Just tell me about the evil Sonic lady. Also, am I gonna get crucified if I ask who Sally.exe is? I'm not like a big Sonic fan, but I've never heard of that character in my life. I examined the plushie for a while as the article came with pictures. This Sally even had her jacket. On it was written with a permanent marker G-O-D. I don't really know what it meant. Probably the initials of the child owning her before they sold her. Now, this isn't the best example of this, but I can't really tell if the author is making his character dumb on purpose or if he just can't think of anything, but it is so annoying when they use the like incompetence just to push the story, you know, like this shirt's really cool, but the back says property of Baphomet. I don't know. I guess it was just the name of the old owner. Whatever. I'm gonna wear it now. And it's like I hate when they do that. It's like, oh, I found this magical book that says don't open, and then I opened it because what's the worst that'll happen? And that's the only reason the story happens. You know what I mean? Also, can you imagine your initials being G-O-D? You could just lord that over people your entire life. They're like, I don't like you, and you're like, well, you don't like God, huh? I clicked the back button to return to the Sonic Sally search, knowing I wouldn't win the auction anyway. Only to find another article that appeared. Sonic Satan cartoon all episodes. Sonic Satan? You just got done with God. Don't click on Sonic Satan, man. Do not buy these. Do not buy the Satan Sonic disc. Sad damn DVDs were never released where I came from. Bummer. What? Oh, okay. So Saddam is just an abbreviation for an older Sonic show. It's not Satanic Sonic Show. False alarm, guys. DVD is okay. It had no description and no address where it came from. Germany, Canada, etc. It was missing and the shipping price was stated to be free. Why did he just start naming countries? What was that? It didn't have the shipping label, so I didn't know where it came from. China, Peru, Bolivia. I don't know if you guys know what countries are. I guess thank you for helping me know. I don't know. He buys the CD off eBay and we skip to when it arrives. He puts it in and nothing happens, but he gets to see the files and saw a Sally.exe application on it. He's just as confused as I am, but launches Sally.exe anyways, and it launches one of his Satan episodes. The episode started out all normal, along with the intro. No blood or anything. What? Wait, what? I didn't realize that was a criteria for shows, you know? Yeah, my SpongeBob episode was pretty normal. There was no blood leaking from the DVD player or anything, but there were a few satanic symbols, and I think they sacrificed Patrick. I don't know, man. Kind of weird. But the sad thing was that my computer blue screened when the kissing scene of Sonic and Sally started. What? What DVD did this guy buy? Where can I get one of? Anyways, he's mad that it blue screened his computer, so he just throws away the CD and starts gaming, right? He mentions his cursor freaking out. The white thing, if you didn't know. And then suddenly his PC just starts downloading a ROM of a Sonic game, and his response is literally, fun game. And then he moves on. And you know what? Fair enough. Okay, fair enough. I don't know. You win. As soon as it had downloaded, I started up my emulator and begun the game in windowed mode, but oddly, the complete screen went black. I shrugged it off and waited for the game to start. Does this guy have the critical thinking skills of a goldfish? What do you mean you ran it immediately? You didn't know where it came from. It just downloaded. You didn't purchase a game. Why are you running a game that randomly downloaded onto your computer? Like, he just sees a download and goes, yeah, I'ma click it. Like, this is what I mean. These stories always end up being so avoidable. It's insane. Like, all all he had to do was not launch the random obvious virus that just got installed into his computer. But that's why there's a story about him and not me, I guess. Anyways, the game opens up and he gives us a little description of it.
Sega 1991 was now replaced with Sega 666 and the water was bloody red. The familiar music wasn't playing either. It was just a 16-bit mess of sounds. The demonic Sega occasionally mixed in.
I don't know what he means by the demonic Sega. It's kind of always been creepy, but whatever. I absolutely love when these creepypasta stories just turn into, there was blood. Oh, and the number that was there, it's now a 666 because that's scary, right? Blood came from his face, but it wasn't video game blood. It was hyper-realistic blood, and it was terrifying, and it was like he was right there, and then I vomited 8 times. And then the image is just this. As it gets further into the game, the world gets more dark and twisted. For example, instead of Green Hills Zone 1, he ends up in Not Perfect Area Act 1, because it's all like dark and twisted and evil, and that's the actual name in the actual story. But apparently, instead of Sonic, he loads in as Amy and is chasing Sonic around. I don't know, they attached this image, which just looks like Sonic to me, I don't know. Amy chases Sonic into another realm where she falls off to her death and then screams, but apparently it was a super realistic scream, so the guy's like,
"Oh, Amy, no! Amy, no!"
And then the Sonic.exe image just like flashes on his screen, right? We then get booted to the title screen, and some other character named Cream comes in all scared, and now he's playing as her.
The stage was blank now, and the background music was a drowned-sounding, slower version of the Green Hill Zone. It nearly made me gag.
Okay, what do you mean it nearly made you gag, man?
They slowed down the Green Hill Zone. I threw up everywhere.
Shut up. He keeps speeding up with Cream. He's on the... Eventually, she starts going too fast and crashes into a wall of spikes and gets disintegrated. She's fucking... She's gone, dude. But yeah, if you're not following with the story by now, characters are gonna come out and then die. Next is Sally Acorn.
A sprite silhouette that resembled Sally appeared in front of a background that consisted the whole group. Amy, Cream, Knuckles, Tails, and Robotnik appeared, all in their tortured forms with a saddened expression. It also had Sonic, but in a nearly unrecognizable way. He had a wide grin on his face with razor-sharp teeth. He had black eyes with red dots for pupils, which were bleeding. It looked like he would reach out to the silhouette in front of him.
Wait, so he kind of looks like the scary Squidward image. I don't understand why that was peak scary in 2014, was just, what if we make his eyes red and bleeding? I don't know.
I tried to move Sally, get her out of there, but each wall wouldn't budge and Sally would do a pushing animation.
I like how it specified she did a pushing animation because it immediately made me visualize her being in the door stuck meme.
I stopped in the middle as, to my horror, the stage began to shrink and the black started to close in on Sally. I tried moving her again, but the walls wouldn't budge or move. I walked Sally back to the middle as the walls closed in on her. She crouched down before she completely disappeared in the black. Splat. So yeah, Sally dies. I like how for a story called Sally.exe, she's in here for less time than Amy is in the actual writing. It's just really funny. The red writing appeared on the screen again, only it was dripping, like blood, and it was crooked. Sonic, my love.
I like to think that that was just him, like the author saying Sonic, my love, and not the game, and he's just confused and disappointed in Sonic for killing his characters. He's like, Sonic, don't do this. You didn't need to kill Sally. We could have worked this out, my love. Eventually, he gets booted out of the game, and we cut back to Sadie, but it's a little different.
Sonic had these black, bleeding, demonic eyes. Sally looked even worse, at least to me. Her eyes were missing.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's just at least to you, man. I think that's to everybody. Her eyes are fucking gone. I don't know how you could not see that as worse.
It was like they were taken out and Sally's skull was sewed closed again. Blood was running from her wound. It didn't look like Photoshop. It was actually animated.
Yeah, because you're watching a show from 1995. Of course it doesn't look like Photoshop. They didn't have Photoshop. I don't know. The descriptors paint such a vivid image. It didn't even look Photoshop. I don't know. My favorite part about this whole thing is the ending because it just turns into some weird shit, right? Sally and Sonic produce tentacles from their mouths for some reason. I don't know where they got those, but then they lock tentacles and he says, and I quote,
"It looked like they enjoyed it, and for a moment, I did too."
Huh? What? This dude's a freak. Get him out of here. Put him in jail with Jeff the Killer. What? You know, it's not every Sonic fan, but it's always a Sonic fan. You know what I mean? He then says he feels grossed out and turns around, and it's the Sally doll that he didn't buy. If you remember in the story, he says he clicked off the page because he didn't buy it. I don't know, but it's missing its eyes. The end. This story really feels like it couldn't decide between being a fanfic or a horror story, and it just really sucked at both. I don't know, there were so many different things that just don't match, and it makes this story insanely incoherent, and it's so stupid. I'm sure there are many, many more terribly written creepypastas out there, but these are the ones that I found while I was looking around. If you have any other funny ones, let me know. I love reading these. You can put them in the freaking comments below. Yeah, I'll put them down there. And as always, thank you to my lovely Patreons. You guys help me keep going with this, and I could never thank you enough for your support. If you want some more exclusive Prisk content, you can head on over to the Patreon. It's only $3. That's this minus this. You get your name on that fancy board right there, and oh, so much more. But with that being said, my name is Prisk. That's Reggie. He's all... Where did he go? I guess he must have fallen or something. I don't know. But yeah, my name is Prisk, and thank you guys for watching. I'll freaking see you in the next video. Seriously, where did he go?